Hey, this is Henry Sanders back with our daily episode of Real Talk. We want to thank our sponsor at Park Bank. Thanks for everything that you're doing over there for us. We have our Lieutenant Governor here for every Monday conversation that we have, and he's been graciously letting us have his time. How are you doing, Lieutenant Governor?
I'm doing all right. Still day by day, like most other people, man. Just still working to figure it all out. Trying to make sure that Wisconsin is best positioned to be successful as a state once we're on the other side of the pandemic.
Yeah, and the governor last week extended a Safer at Home Act for people. How did he come up with that? How did he make that decision about making it extended to May 26th?
I think the decision was made just due to the science. That's exactly why the decision was made. The evidence doesn't show that Wisconsin was ready to handle a full reopening or a full return to normal, just given the numbers, given the statistics. However, the numbers do show that Safer at Home has prevented the amount of deaths that were predicted on the front end. Had we not taken the measures, had we not taken the steps to implement Safer at Home here in Wisconsin, things would have been much, much more tragic. So we want to be very cautious in the way that we approach this, and we want to be responsible in the way that we approach this. And that's still, I mean, you have states like Virginia where their day is even further along than ours. I believe theirs is June 1st. But that's how these things work. Nobody could have predicted this. Nobody wants this. I tell people all the time, there are a lot of things that I would like to be doing for fun. There are some other things that are work related that I would enjoy being able to do. And, this isn't exciting for us. No governor in the country is doing this because this is something that they enjoy. These aren't steps that they're taking with glee. They're things, they're measures that are being taken with extreme caution. And you look at Ohio, too. I can use Governor Mike DeWine as an example. He is no liberal, no progressive, no Democrat. He's a conservative Republican governor, but he understands what it would mean and how the state of Ohio would be jeopardized if they were to roll back their Safer Home order.
Yeah. And I was actually surprised that some of my friends, even people I know, were not happy about this. Like, people were extremely upset, and it caught me off guard because I was like, well, no one, at least from my opinion, no one thought we were going to have Safer Home just for 30 days. I mean, that it didn't seem realistic to me.
Right.
But people are upset, and now people are actually protesting. Like, there's a protest coming up on Friday, I believe, at the Capitol, and there were some protests last week. How do you and the governor deal with that part of the conversation?
Yeah, there are a handful of people who are protesting, and if you see the reports, they show how these protests are being co-opted by other interests that aren't specifically COVID-19, and you see the presence across the country of Confederate flags at these protests, and the Confederate flags that are present at those protests let us know that we're on the right side of this issue. What symbol to fight oppression and what symbol to carry on freedom than the Confederate flag, right? That's what these protesters are basically proclaiming. So, we understand people's frustration is very real. People are being put in some very difficult positions. We have everyday working folks. We have business owners. We also have our frontline workers who are still going to work every day despite the challenges. And these people are already putting their lives at risk. And to not just overburden the healthcare system, but to overburden these folks who are still working hard every day, our nurses, healthcare professionals, grocery store workers, police, EMT, you name it, the list goes on and on. What these people are at, with the folks who've decided to protest these stay-at-home orders, what they're calling for is the compromised safety of those frontline individuals. Now, this is something we don't have a grasp on. We don't have this thing under control just yet. It would be totally irresponsible to fully go back to the way that things were, knowing that this disease is still around at the rate that it exists.
So I know the governor is part of is it a governor's alliance? I believe that they have how they open Midwest governors working together to figure out when they open up the Midwest. Do lieutenant governors have something like that? Are lieutenant governors coordinating and communicating like that?
Yeah, let me tell you this: the lieutenant governors, we started this. Okay, I told the governor, I said, we're leading from the back here. Some of the Midwest lieutenant governors, myself, Garland Gilchrist from Michigan, Peggy Flanagan from Minnesota, and Juliana Stratton from Illinois. We have a very close relationship, being Great Lakes governor or lieutenant governors, and we stay in regular communication, and we even having Zoom calls, just talking about what our role should be, how we can be best equipped to address the needs of the people of our respective states. And so, we have been, and you see the Midwest Alliance that was formed that you just mentioned. You saw the East Coast Alliance form, the West Coast Alliance form, and now the Midwest, because this is going to take a regional approach, given the fact that the federal government has been not just slow to respond, but also ineffective in many ways in their response.
What do people do? Because I've been contacted a few times, especially by nonprofits, small business folks. What do they do if they want to? Is there a process if they feel like they should be an essential business, essential organization, that they feel they should be open back up? Is there a process people can apply, or what is the process for someone like that?
So there's not necessarily a process. However, I would encourage people to reach out to Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation if they have, questions about the level of necessity of the business that they operate, because these things should all be, taken into consideration, different factors that exist. But it comes down to public safety. And I just don't want people to think or get into a mode where they feel like they are the only ones who are being challenged right now, the only people who are having their who are having their daily lives appended, because that's not the case. There are a lot of people who are feeling this crunch, way too many people, and I wish that our nation was better prepared on the front end to deal with this. I mean, there were warnings before many of the measures at the federal level took place. So with that being said, I would encourage people to still reach out, with questions and concerns about their businesses and the nature of how essential they are. I get it. I encourage that communication. Reach out. You see the Tavern League just put out a letter that they want to reopen on May 1st. So I would encourage folks to step up and make their voices heard, about their businesses.
Do you want? I know you just started a new series, a video series. Looks like I know you had Pastor Marcus Allen from Mount Zion. One, do you want to talk about that? And two, when am I getting invited, brother? I mean, I'm a little hurt by that, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, that I haven't been invited.
So I felt it important to have some conversations with people who are on the front lines in other ways. As you know, Pastor Allen had a number of family members who've been impacted by COVID-19, and he, as a religious leader in Madison, he has a voice, and it's important to get his voice because they stopped having in-person services even before the Safer Home Order was issued. So I want to have him on just to talk about his own personal experience, but also to talk about how we can overcome this as a community, what role that we all should be playing to make sure that we're keeping people safe. And I want to do, as many of these as possible, just to have honest, open dialogue with folks about what they're dealing with, what do they see as challenges, and how do they see ways for us to improve and do better as a state. And for you, the invite is always open. You're always welcome to come on my show, as I'm always welcome on your show. Please, don't make that face. I mean, you can come on the show anytime you want to.
Okay, all right. This is probably people. People, you got to keep our politicians accountable. You heard it. Your Lieutenant Governor said I'll be on the show.
You hear it here, right out of my mouth. Henry Sanders is welcome on the show anytime.
Hey, I appreciate you doing the show, man. I love it. If you ever wants to share it, man, we will. I think that's a great idea. Let people have access to you, hearing from you directly about what's going on. I love the idea. Yeah,
man, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for your time again, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you for all you're doing. Stay safe. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. And take care of yourself.
I appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon.
Okay. And we'll see you next time for another episode of Real Talk. Take care.